Hey guys, welcome to Living with Positivity. I'm so excited because I just came back from the Toronto Tea Festival, the second annual one, and I am just so inspired. And if you thought I loved tea before, I have a newfound love for tea, the Camellia Sinensis plant, and it's so mysterious, and I just want to learn more. So I went to a bunch of the workshops there, the majority of them, and I took a bunch of notes. And I loved, my three favorite ones were Michelle Hamilton's Your Brain on Tea, Jeff Fuchs's Ancient Puerh Roots, and Kevin Gascoyne's Tea and Antioxidants. And I loved Michelle's because she talked about how we often focus on antioxidants and caffeine and single nutrients about tea, but there's so much more to it, and there's a synergy that works with your body. And she talked about theanine, which is a specific chemical in component of tea, and she talked about all the superhero powers of theanine, some being that it has glutamate blockers, so it prevents nerve cell damage to the brain and prevents cell death. Has the ability to prevent brain cells from having a stroke or Alzheimer's. She talked about how it increases GABA, which also increases dopamine transmitters in the brain, which is responsible for uplifting you and putting you in a positive mood and giving you motivation. And she hangs out with a bunch of scientists, so she's always a part of all these studies. My second favorite talk, was Ancient Puerh's Roots by Jeff Fuchs, and he's this like really cool kind of eccentric explorer, award-winning explorer, which I think is such a cool title. I'd love to be an award-winning explorer as my job title. So I learned so much from his talk, and just about the whole story behind tea and the people behind tea. And he lives in Yunnan, and he showed us so many pictures and people, and it's so great to just understand the importance of tea. And he talked about the history and how if people ever wanted to start a war in the tea growing areas, that they would cut off a leaf or a branch, and that would signify war, because these trees are so important to these people, and they hardly ever prune them or cut them because they're so precious to their culture and to their economy. It motivated me to drink a lot more straight teas. I'm not one for like flavored or artificially flavored teas, but that's kind of a big thing now with like the crazy like buttered rum black teas and stuff. And you could tell that he made it known that he is not down with those kind of teas. And I'm actually drinking one of his Puerhs. And it's so delicious and vegetal and incredible. But it made me realize that tea is so precious. My third favorite workshop was Kevin Gascoyne's, I think that's how you say his name, Tea, Caffeine, and Antioxidants workshop. And it was funny because like you could tell that of the majority of people that went there was like, yeah, bought into probably bought into the health claims aspect of tea, but he totally admitted to it too, that he just confused the whole situation. He owns Camellia Sinensis, which is a really big tea company, and it's amazing because his company spent like 140 grand on research, because he talked about the importance and the responsibility behind tea educators, and this really stood out to me and affected me because he talked about how there's so much false information out there, and that people look to us to educate them about tea, and that we really have to know the facts. And he realized that he wasn't really gonna, the only way to understand this was to do his own research. So he contacted a bunch of labs and wanted to know like the exact amount of caffeine and the exact amount of antioxidants in a cup of tea, the way we would brew it, the way we would brew certain teas at different temperatures and steep it for different times. And the majority of the labs weren't down with that philosophy because tea has always been studied, the caffeine amounts, by grinding up the leaves and putting it through all these mechanical procedures and gas chamber craziness. And it was completely separated from the way that we actually drink tea. So he finally found a lab in Quebec, and they were very agreeable to this cutting edge idea. And so he did a bunch of studies with them, and he found that the caffeine levels were completely all over the map, even in just focusing on green teas. Some green teas had very little caffeine, some had a lot. Some of the black teas had less than the green teas. So he emphasized that it's white teas, green teas don't necessarily have less amounts of caffeine. In fact, they have more amounts of caffeine, but it's all relative to the growing conditions, to the flushes, and it's all over the map. So that was completely new information for me, which I guess could be frustrating to people who just want to put the information and sell tea like that. But his approach to tea is that we really need to appreciate it for its flavor adventure and for the beauty of the drink, and that we shouldn't really worry too much about the antioxidant levels. We should just drink tea and be merry. And he was saying that those who enjoy the flavor of tea will get the benefits of tea, and those who are just looking for kind of a quick health fix are the ones who won't really implement tea into their lives and won't really benefit from it. So that is really exciting to me, and I learned so much, and I have so much more to learn about tea, but it's going to be such a journey, and I'm excited to study more about these workshop leaders because they lead such fascinating lives, and it really, they're examples to me of people who I look up to, and people who I want to be like. So I cheers to that. I'm drinking Puerh at night, but I'm ready to party. I'm gonna be having some friends coming over later, so I'm drinking Puerh. But thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope that you learned something today from what I learned from these workshops. So cheers, and have a great night.